We all know that Monkey D. Luffy is inheriting the will of Joy Boy. The narrative crumbs have been leading us down that path for decades. The Straw Hat, the liberation of oppressed nations, the literal heartbeat of a god echoing through his veins. It's a perfect poetic legacy. But One Piece is a masterclass in narrative dualities. If Luffy is the chosen dawn, then the universe requires a midnight. And that forces us to look directly into the missing teeth and chaotic laughter of Marshall D. Teach. Most fans look at Blackbeard as simply Luffy's ultimate rival, a dark mirror who happened to choose a crueler path to the same destination. But Eiichiro Oda is pulling a much larger, much more terrifying historical sleight of hand. Blackbeard isn't forging his own unique path of darkness. He is trapped in a multi-generational cycle of historical failure. From the hidden shores of his chosen base to the terrifying truth written on the side of his flagship, the evidence reveals a tragic reality. Teach thinks he's fighting for the ultimate freedom of a pirate, but he has accidentally inherited the bloodline, the curse, and the shattered dream of a monster erased from history 40 years ago. Today, we are breaking down the definitive case for why Marshall D. Teach is inheriting the wrong will of D, and why the world of One Piece is fundamentally programmed to reject him. To understand the deep tragedy of Blackbeard, we have to go back to the moment the world first met him. Long before he was a Yonko, Teach was just a nameless rogue sitting in the dirt of Mocktown, sharing a bottle of rum and a plate of cherry pie. When Luffy and Zoro were beaten bloody and laughed out of the bar for believing in Sky Island, it wasn't a hero who validated them. It was Teach. In that exact frame, Oda pulled off his greatest trick. He didn't introduce Blackbeard as a villain. He introduced him as a purist, a romantic who believed in the golden age of piracy just as fiercely as Luffy. They both looked up at the sky and saw infinite possibility. But as they crossed the new world, their paths completely split. Why? Because they have a fundamentally broken disagreement on what the word freedom actually means. Luffy wants to be the Pirate King because he believes it represents absolute unconditional liberty, the freedom to go anywhere, eat anything, and ensure no one can rule over him. Teach, however, views freedom as the ultimate power of subjugation. To Teach, you are only truly free if you have the power to bend everyone else to your absolute will. And that dangerous philosophy didn't originate with Blackbeard. It began 40 years ago on an island made of skulls.
Geography in One Piece is never random. Where a pirate chooses to drop their anchor tells you exactly whose legacy they want to claim. When Blackbeard finally seized the rank of Emperor, he went straight to Hachinosu, Pirate Island. On the surface, it looks like a fitting home for a chaotic pirate leader. It's the historical birthplace of the Davy Back fight, a lawless haven. But if you dig into the deepest lore of the world, Hachinosu carries a permanent historical stain. This island was the cradle of the Rocks Pirates, the most vicious, bloodthirsty crew to ever terrorize the seas. Rocks D. Xebec didn't care about romance, adventure, or finding the joy at the end of the sea. He wanted to be the king of the world. He wanted to overthrow the celestial dragons, drag down the kingdoms, and sit on the empty throne. He mistook supreme dominance for supreme freedom. And look at what Blackbeard has done since claiming that land. He didn't just inherit the island, he inherited the exact blueprint. Look at his flagship, the Saber of Xebec. Think about how calculated this is. The world government went to unthinkable lengths to completely erase Rocks D. Xebec from existence. Sengoku explicitly states that the younger generation of Marines have no idea who the man even was. Yet Teach, while hiding in the deep shadows of Whitebeard's crew for over 20 years,
dug up that forbidden name and painted it on the side of his home. Teach isn't just a casual observer of history. We know from Oda's SBS logs that Teach's canonical hobby is studying history. He found the ghost of Xebec hiding in the margins of time, and he consciously decided to finish what Xebec started at God Valley. But this is where the inherited legacy becomes a fatal trap. Rocksteady Xebec's empire didn't fall because his crew lacked raw power. He had 3 future emperors on his deck simultaneously. They fell because a crew built entirely on the premise of power and personal greed will always devour itself from the inside out. They lacked trust. They routinely murdered each other on their own ship. Now, look at the Blackbeard pirates. Teach doesn't call his top officers his nakama, his friends, or his family. They are the 10 Titanic captains. It's a corporate structure disguised as a pirate crew. When Teach breached Impel Down to recruit the most dangerous monsters from level 6, it wasn't out of mutual respect. It was a cold business transaction. Even his most valuable recruit, former Admiral Kuzan, feels less like a trusted ally and more like a volatile political alliance waiting for the perfect moment to shatter. When Whitebeard looked at Teach at Marineford with the barrels of his crew's guns pointed at his chest, he didn't see the man who would unlock the secrets of the world. He saw a counterfeit. He told him to his face, "The man Roger is waiting for, it's definitely not you, Teach."
Whitebeard knew Roger's dream. He knew the true, pure essence of the will of D. It isn't a license to rule over others. It's the spark that liberates them. By choosing Hachinosu, by naming his ship after Xebec, and by building an empire on fear, transaction, and calculated cruelty, Blackbeard successfully inherited a legacy. But he picked the wrong one. He is running a race with a map that leads straight to a historical execution. But Blackbeard's alignment with the wrong legacy isn't just philosophical. It is written directly into his physical DNA. For decades, the One Piece community has been obsessed with one line spoken by Marco the Phoenix during the chaos of Marineford. The structure of his body is atypical. What did Marco mean? How can a single human being hold the destructive power of multiple devil fruits without his soul tearing itself apart? To understand the answer, we have to look back to the ocean waves outside the Wano Kingdom during the legendary 3-day battle between the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. While the adults fought, 2 kids sat on a log watching a young Teach sit alone in the dark. Shanks and Buggy whispered to each other, pointing at the young, somber Teach sitting against a tree under a starry sky. Buggy noted a detail that changes everything. They say he's never slept a single night in his entire life.
Think about the absolute horror of that realization. From the moment of his birth, Marshall D. Teach has never closed his eyes. He has never experienced a dream in his sleep. While the rest of the world rests under the cover of night, Teach is forced to live through it, entirely conscious, trapped in perpetual awareness. This isn't just a quirky character trait. In the world of biology, a complete lack of sleep causes total psychological collapse within days. For Teach to survive decades without it means his brain and body operate on a completely different evolutionary or supernatural framework than any other human being in the world. Every major pirate flag in One Piece is a direct reflection of its captain. Luffy's flag wears his signature straw hat. Whitebeard's flag bears his iconic mustache. Shanks' flag has the 3 scars across the left eye. So why does Blackbeard's flag feature 3 distinct skulls? The most compelling explanation ties directly to his biology. Teach is not just one person. Whether through a rare medical anomaly, a genetic remnant of a bygone race, or a mysterious event in his childhood, Teach possesses a multi-layered existence. 3 souls,
three entities, or three distinct biological systems packed into a single physical frame. This is why he can sleepwalk through life without ever truly sleeping. One part of him is always awake, holding the line, keeping the darkness at bay. And it is this exact biological anomaly that allowed him to do the impossible: consume both the Yami Yami no Mi and the Gora Gora no Mi.
When Teach finally killed Thatch to steal the Yami Yami no Mi, he claimed he had found the most sinister power in existence. And on paper, he's right. The Darkness Fruit is an absolute anomaly among Logia types. It does not grant him intangibility. If you slice him with a sword or strike him with Haki, he cannot turn into his element to avoid it. In fact, Teach explicitly states that his darkness draws everything in, including the physical damage and pain of his enemies, amplifying it to double the capacity. Why would a fruit classified as a Logia, the ultimate defense, force its user to suffer twice as much pain? Because the Yami Yami no Mi isn't just an elemental power, it is a cosmic burden. It is the literal embodiment of gravity. It pulls everything inward: attacks, ambient light, devil fruit abilities, and history itself. By consuming the darkness, Teach physically integrated the ultimate force of gravity into an already unstable, multi-layered body. He became a walking black hole. But black holes do not create, they only consume until there is nothing left. Luffy's fruit, the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika, turns him into the sun god, a being that radiates energy outward, giving life, laughter, and light to everyone around him. Teach's fruit does the exact opposite. It drags the world down into a silent, suffocating dark. He is a walking black hole, desperate to fill an infinite void inside himself that can never, ever be satisfied.
Think about the irony of that objective. Blackbeard claims to be the ultimate pirate, a man who rejects the laws of the world and answers to no one. Yet his grand dream is to have his power validated by the very system he claims to despise. He wants the world government to hand him a piece of paper that says he is a legitimate king. That isn't freedom. That is submission to the existing power structure. Teach doesn't want to destroy the cage. He just wants to be the one holding the keys. Luffy, on the other hand, instinctively understands that the world government, the celestial dragons, and the entire systemic structure of the world must be dismantled for true freedom to exist. When Luffy challenged the government at Eni's lobby by ordering Soga King to burn the flag, he wasn't asking for recognition. He was declaring absolute war on the concept of systemic oppression. This is why Blackbeard is inheriting the wrong will of D. The D line is consistently described as the natural enemy of God. But Teach doesn't want to defeat the gods, he wants to replace them. He is repeating the exact mistake that Rock's D Xebec made at God Valley. Xebec tried to seize the world by force, believing that absolute power would make him untouchable. But that ambition unified the entire world against him. It forced the Marines and the Roger Pirates to form an unthinkable alliance just to wipe his name from the calendar. Teach is walking the exact same path, blind to the fact that his method of piracy naturally unites everyone against him.
He is building an empire of sand, held together by greed, fear, and stolen powers, completely unaware that when the wind finally shifts, he will be left entirely alone in the dark. As we approach the final saga of this 20-year story, Blackbeard's narrative role becomes incredibly distinct. He is not just a roadblock for Luffy to overcome. He is one of the most tragic figures in modern fiction. Think about the sheer scale of his dedication. Teach spent over 20 entire years acting like a weak, unassuming background character on Whitebeard's ship. He took insults, he hid his true strength, and he watched inferior pirates get promoted ahead of him, all to maximize his statistical chance of finding a single devil fruit. He calculated every risk, executed every betrayal with surgical precision, and built a flawless path to the top of the world. He played the game of piracy perfectly. He did everything the textbooks say a ruthless, brilliant villain should do to win. But One Piece isn't a textbook game. It's a universe governed by inherited will, destiny, and the purity of one's soul. Teach can collect all the powerful devil fruits in existence. He can occupy the strongest ancient islands. He can build an army of level 6 criminals. But because his heart seeks dominion instead of liberation, the destination he is searching for will ultimately reject him. When Joy Boy left his treasure on Laugh-Tale 800 years ago, he didn't leave it for a conqueror. He left it for someone who could bring a smile to the faces of the oppressed.
Joy Boy left the treasure for a liberator. When Blackbeard finally arrives at the end of the world, he won't find his crown. He will find the ghost of Rox D. Xebec waiting for him, a reminder of a man who had everything, controlled everyone, and still left nothing behind but a forgotten name on a forgotten flagship. Marshall D. Teach is a man who can never sleep, chasing a dream he can never truly understand, fighting for a freedom that will always remain just out of reach. He is the ultimate guardian of the midnight, the final hurdle before the world can finally witness the dawn. Now, let's step back and look at the cosmic timing of his journey. Why did Teach wait exactly when he did to strike? He didn't just move because he stumbled onto the darkness fruit. He moved because he knew the old era was rotting. He spent 2 decades measuring the health of Whitebeard, analyzing the shifting tides of the Marines, and waiting for the absolute perfect vacuum to open in the global hierarchy. He plays piracy like a grandmaster plays chess, looking 12 moves ahead while everyone else is playing a game of checkers. But this hyperfixation on the game board is exactly why he is blind to the spiritual forces moving the pieces. He understands the mechanics of power perfectly, but he completely fails to understand the mechanics of the human heart. He thinks armies are built on contracts, but Luffy proves they are built on love.
This fundamental blindness is why Teach's victories always feel hollow, even when they are massive. When he defeated Ace on Bonero Island, it was a tactical masterpiece. He used his gravity to neutralize a superior elemental fruit and delivered his brother directly to the execution block. It set his entire master plan into motion. But what did it actually achieve? It ignited a war that destroyed his former captain, but it also awakened a sleeping giant in the next generation. It created the catalyst that forced Luffy to train for 2 years, unlocking the path to Gear 5. Teach's actions are always reactionary to the narrative, serves as the ultimate unintentional grinding stone for the true hero. Every time Blackbeard pushes the world into darkness, he inadvertently forces the light to burn brighter. He is a tool of destiny, but not the author of it. He is the shadow cast by the coming sun. Look at his interactions with the worst criminals of the world. He walks into the deepest dungeon of Impel Down, a place designed to break the human spirit, and offers them a choice. He tells them to follow him or die in their cages. They choose to follow him, but not because they believe in his vision of the world. They follow him because he is the biggest, baddest beast in the yard. It is an alliance built entirely on a mutual appetite for destruction. There is no loyalty on the Saber of Xebec. There is only a collection of knives waiting for the captain to show a single moment of weakness.
And Teach knows this. This is why he can never close his eyes, even if his body physically allowed him to. He lives in a state of absolute, perpetual paranoia. He has surrounded himself with the most treacherous human beings alive, knowing that the second his gravity falters, his own crew will tear him to pieces. This is the structural flaw of the Rocks Pirates, resurrected in the modern era. It is a house of cards built on top of a volcano. Contrast this with the Thousand Sunny, where Zoro would gladly trade his life for Luffy's dream, where Sanji cooks to keep the spirit alive, and where every member is bound by an unbreakable thread of mutual love and respect.
Luffy's crew is light. Teach's crew is a heavy, crushing mass of suspicion. This brings us back to the ultimate question of the will of D. What does the middle initial actually stand for? If it stands for Dawn, then Teach is a contradiction. If it stands for Devil, then perhaps Teach is the only one playing the role correctly. But what if the D represents a choice? A choice between the path of the liberator and the path of the conqueror. The ancient kingdom was not a monolith. It was a civilization that fell, and perhaps it fell because its own people split into two factions. One faction that wanted to share the joy of freedom with the world, and another faction that wanted to use their massive ancient weapons to rule over it.
If that historical split is true, then the final war of One Piece is not just a battle between the pirates and the world government. It is a civil war within the will of D itself. It is a final reckoning between the ghosts of the past played out through the bodies of the present. Luffy is carrying the torch of the faction that loved the world, while Blackbeard is dragging the chains of the faction that wanted to own it. He is a tragic figure because he is entirely automated by history. He thinks his thoughts are his own, he thinks his ambitions are his own, but he is merely a puppet dancing on the strings of a 40-year-old failure named Rox D. Xebec. He has consumed the darkness, but the darkness has also consumed him. He has no identity outside of his pursuit of the throne. He has no joy, no peace, and no dreams that happen when you close your eyes. He is a man condemned to look at the stars forever, knowing that he will never feel the warmth of the sun. He is the necessary evil, the grand obstacle that the universe created to test the resolve of the true pirate king. Without Blackbeard, Luffy's dawn would have nothing to break through. Teach is the midnight that makes the morning beautiful. He is the architect of his own destruction, spending every waking second of his sleepless life building a monument to a past that the world has already chosen to forget.
When the final clash happens and the tremor fruit shatters the sea one last time, Teach will realize the ultimate flaw of his philosophy. He will realize that gravity can pull everything toward you, but it cannot make anything stay. It can crush your enemies, it can steal their powers, and it can sink their islands, but it cannot build a legacy that outlasts the dark. When his black hole finally collapses in on itself, it will leave nothing behind but an empty space where a man's dream used to be. The throne he starved for, the kingdom he bargained for, and the power he murdered for will vanish like mist when the true sun rises over the horizon. He will join Rox D. Xebec in the forgotten footnotes of history, a warning to anyone who mistakes the power to dominate for the right to be free. Marshall D. Teach is the master of the night, but the night always has to end. What do you think? Is Blackbeard truly a tragic figure bound to repeat the failures of the past? Or does his atypical body hold one final twist that will change the destiny of the entire world? Let me know your deepest theories in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash the subscribe button for more deep lore video essays, and I will see you all on the very next island. Peace out, everyone.